look at this as there are like 4 very distinct options.
You got 4 places?
I got 4 places that are...
He might need to talk to you.
Okay, well, that are, again, totally different in what they provide. So I think the Vikings make the most sense. I think the Vikings, and we can maybe start there. I think the Vikings make the most sense, with the only downside being that you are really just rewalking every step of Brett's, on-field career. But I think that the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell wins Coach of the Year. He's got a new contract. Everybody loves him. I think he's a very sharp head coach. Also, he's 0-2 in the playoffs and bad home playoff losses.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it was lost to Daniel Jones, and then this year you have your worst offensive game of the year. You put it on Darnold, that's fine. I think that there is an argument for the Vikings. Let JJ sit one more year. Yeah. Let him sit as a healthy player, not as a rehabbing player. And you have all those pieces around you. If you think that Aaron has the ability to consistently play over 17 games at the level we saw him sparingly play last year, I have my questions about that. But I think the Vikings in that scenario make the most sense.
Okay. Let's talk about this. Unfortunately, every single Aaron Rodgers clip is really going to be split into 2. Between who you get as the football player and who you get as everything else. Because I like how it says even, 90.5 passer rating in 2024. Worst in career as starter. And yet we know Patrick Mahomes was like 93 passer rating. So like, right within range. But the problem is all the other nonsense that Aaron Rodgers brings. I'm a firm believer in what they're building in Minnesota. I've spoke very, very, very highly of everything they're doing. From the way Kevin O'Connell runs the team, the culture that he's instilled there, the players, the fan base, like everything that Minnesota represents, I'm like 100% for it. The stability that they've been able to bring, it's why they were able to bring in a Sam Darnold and have instant success. I understand a lot of people are upset how the season unfolded, and I get it. And I'm not going to be here and unpack and blame Kevin O'Connell or blame Sam Darnold. Like that's not the scope of this video. But it was an awesome season. So make no mistake about it. You can't just casually win 14 games and have that type of season. It was unfortunate how it ended, no doubt. No doubt about it. But all things considered, it was incredibly successful. I know I get it. At the end of the day, it's like you either win or you don't. So I get it. I get the frustration. I get being upset. Now, on the surface, if Aaron Rodgers, if his personality was even just like 20% of that of like a Tom Brady, it doesn't even have to be a Tom Brady, a Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, I don't know, someone that just can really bring leadership to a franchise, then yeah, I think having JJ McCarthy be exposed to now, he's been exposed to Sam Darnold, which definitely helps you, right? Any quarterback who's actually has legitimate experience in the NFL, you're going to get benefit, right? Just like even Andy Reid came out and said Patrick Mahomes, sitting behind Alex Smith for a year was absolutely crucial to the development of Patrick Mahomes. And if Andy Reid says that, well, then that's good enough for me, man. It's good enough for me. And so, yeah, having, him sit again for a year and actually be healthy, because I've talked about that before. Him sitting injured is not the same as him sitting healthy. It's just different. I could see that being a benefit. The problem is just everything else Aaron Rodgers brings. Now, his pure skill level, I imagine, especially with the head coach like Kevin O'Connell and those weapons, he could have a lot of success. It's unclear to me what Aaron Rodgers is willing to take as a quarterback in a coach-quarterback relationship. I'm genuinely concerned and alarmed by what type of energy Aaron brings. in terms of his relationships with the players, his relationships with the coaching staff, his relationship with the play calls, what that dynamic looks like. If he was more willing to just be like, yo, Kevin O'Connell, I'm a quarterback, you're the head coach, I'm here to execute your vision. Of course, I've been around, obviously. I hope we can have a collaborative relationship here. And I really hope that we can like work together to really maximize this team. But at the end of the day, I'm going to put my trust in you. Because you know what, man? I got one Super Bowl in like 20 years or whatever the heck it's been. Like I'm going to give it up to you. I'm going to trust you. And in the moments when it's time for me to kind of do my own thing, yeah, of course. But at the end of the day, I'm going to trust you. And I'm here to kind of reinforce the culture, the identity that you're looking to build. Pick up any of the pieces when it's out of your control and it's in my control. And also drop some serious wisdom on JJ McCarthy. Like, that's also a huge part of why I'm here. I'm here to act, to also like legitimately drop some wisdom on this guy. And I made like a similar clip talking about Aaron. I forget which team at this point. I think it was the Rams. Might have been the Rams. I forget. Everyone's, Aaron's been floating around for all these different teams. But for just like a 1-year rental, just to have like JJ McCarthy just sit down, like at that point, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. If you're gonna get a similar energy and a similar mentality of Aaron as you did with New York or the end of Green Bay, and you're gonna bring that to Minnesota, that's something I don't need. I don't need my young, freshly turned 22-year-old quarterback. I don't need that. The culture that Kevin O'Connell has worked very hard to build, the connectiveness of that team. I don't need to bring in Aaron under those circumstances. I just don't. The difference between the Minnesota Vikings winning a Super Bowl this past season and not, it's not the difference between what Sam Darnold could bring compared to what Aaron Rodgers can bring. And it's one thing if this was a roster where you're like, yo, we get Aaron Rodgers, we add another piece here or there, bro, we are legit super close. If that's the case, then yeah, fine. You can bite the bullet and just kind of, do what you can. But I'm not under that impression. And if that's not the case, and you're going to get a similar year to this past year, where you're going to be really competitive, can have awesome highs, can maybe win a playoff game or two, but at the end of the day, it's just not going to be quite enough, and it's just really a placeholder for the future, then I'd rather have any other quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. Because I don't see the benefit. And again, if we're talking strictly knowledge of Aaron and his brand of special and what he can do on the field, because I do truly think he will be better this coming season than he was last season, especially if he's with a legitimate coach like a Kevin O'Connell and some legit healthy younger weapons. I think he could on the field have success. I really do. And maybe you can make the argument, well, hey, if you're winning, then Aaron is going to be happy. He's going to say the right things, and you might get the best personality version of Aaron. But it's just such a wild card. And quite frankly, I don't think the fans of Minnesota deserve that even. To have someone who's going to be combative with the media, who might try to undercut their coach and Kevin O'Connell, who can sow division in the locker. It's just, things can just get weird. And again, you're willing to put up with it a little bit if you know you're going to get some serious production from him, and if he can legitimately be the difference maker in a Super Bowl. And that's why what I said in my other Aaron Rodgers video, when I think it was with the Rams, it all comes down to the interview. It's let's have a real conversation. Who are you going to be as a quarterback? You are not an A-list celebrity where you don't have to audition. You're guaranteed to get top billing, max contract, the big role in the next, Christopher Nolan movie, Spielberg movie, Scorsese movie. It's not who you are, bro. We're welcoming you into our world. You're not welcoming us into your world. And you have to understand it. And if you don't understand that, then I don't want you. I don't want to deal with that because I'm trying to build something special for the next. Because again, if everything goes right with JJ McCarthy, it is the next 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's the next decade. And taking an Aaron Rodgers detour could derail a lot of stuff. And even if there's even little moments where Aaron Rodgers now questions Kevin O'Connell in a way, undermines him in a way, publicly, in the meetings, in behind the scenes. JJ McCarthy's really young, man. Really impressionable. That can start to sow some doubt, some division. Do you think Alex Smith once said to Patrick Mahomes, I don't know what Andy's talking about here, man. Andy's gotta stop with this nonsense. No, I don't think he said that once. Do I believe that it's very easy for Aaron Rodgers to say that a handful of times to JJ? Absolutely. Do I believe that absolutely could impact you? Absolutely. When you're 22 years old, you're a little boy essentially in the NFL. It's equivalent to you being like 14. You just made the freshman team, and now you're having some practices with varsity, with the guys on varsity. And you just look up to everything they say. I mean, that's what it's like. Anyone who's ever been in that experience knows. And no matter what they say about the coach, it plants seeds, man. Things that people told me when I was like 14 on a freshman team, waiting to get my chance on varsity. You see those older guys, what they say, it sticks with you all the way up until, honestly, in your whole career. It matters. It matters. So, that's why you got to be careful. You got to figure out, what is your objective? What is your goal? What do you believe a team like the Minnesota Vikings are capable of achieving? And depending on that, then you can kind of flirt with the idea of an Aaron Rodgers. And that is the problem with Aaron Rodgers' personality. If he was more about the grind, if he was a better soldier, then it would be kind of an easy pickup. Then you would say, yeah, we'll rent Aaron. That'd be awesome. JJ McCarthy gets to be exposed to Aaron Rodgers for a whole season. That's amazing. You literally can't buy that type of experience. I mean, like that's just luck to be able to have that. That's amazing. That's incredible. Like, let's go. I mean, that would be awesome. The problem is that there's just legitimate risks involved. And that's why it would have to be like, we're going to have a real conversation. Because this is more than just on the field. If this team came up short in like the NFC Championship game or something, or it was a heartbreaker in the divisional round where they lost to a last-second field goal and they were just about to be in the NFC Championship game, and you believe that Aaron Rodgers can really put you over that hump, again, maybe you just bite the bullet because you're like, hey, man, we got some cap space, we got some trades, like, we're just going to go kind of pseudo all in on this next year because we believe that Aaron can, like, bring us to the goal, man. And yeah, take that chance. Then go for it. Again, kind of like a pseudo version of what the Rams did with Stafford. Not exactly, obviously, but they essentially did go all in. And they did mortgage their future for that year when they swapped Goff for Stafford and then getting Von Miller and getting OBJ. There was some mortgaging of the future. They got their ring. But then they also did have that quarterback in Stafford for a few more years. So, I don't know, man. It's one of those things too where you have to figure out what's more important to you right now, short term or long term. So there's just a lot of variables here that, in a lot of ways, kind of make it impossible for people like Nick, myself, anyone to really understand how good or bad of an idea this would be. Because you really have to understand, where are the Minnesota Vikings looking to go? What do they believe? If you ask Kevin O'Connell, you get a real conversation when you're like, Kevin, what can this team achieve? If we had the best quarterback in the NFL, what could this team achieve? Do you believe that we could, what do you think the limit is? And again, don't give me the nonsense of like, it's a Super Bowl. Like, we need to have a real conversation. A real conversation. What can we achieve here? Where do you think JJ McCarthy is in his development? JJ McCarthy had to start in September. What do you believe? How are you envisioning this team? How are you envisioning JJ McCarthy's development, right? Like, you got to have real conversations. How do you think you'll work with Aaron Rodgers? And then again, having real conversations with Aaron. And this would truly be a job interview. If he rubs you the wrong way, if there's anything that's kind of just like, I think we're going to kind of get the same kind of up and down, somewhat jerky Aaron. Nah, I don't need it. Nah, it's all good, bro. Thanks, though. We're kind of building something a little bit more sustainable and a little bit more special here. I would rather have a Gardner Minshew. I would rather have a Sam Darnold. I'd really rather have like anything. I'd rather have an Aiden O'Connell. Culture matters so much. And I think Kevin O'Connell's done an awesome job. He needs to bring it home. You know, he needs to fine tune his own identity as a coach, specifically on the field. And you know, he's a young coach, so that's still in the process. Totally understandable. But I think he's done so many positives, and I could see Aaron Rodgers disrupting a lot of what Kevin O'Connell does special. And that's just not something that I would be excited about. And what gives, if also now just ask yourself, if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, what gives you maximum optimism into this season? Is it Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. You have to be sold on it. You have to be sold on the vision. And Aaron specifically would have to say the right things from the jump. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Aaron Rodgers? Would you like to see him go to the Minnesota Vikings? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.